project organises small groups of farmers to collectively grow trees on the land to the amount that they can afford to. When we visited the project, we travelled down to the Bushenyi region, so saw one of the project areas.
I know we both flew into Entebbe by Kampala, and as we travelled south, I think I was looking out of the vehicle, and it was very, very green, very, very lush. And suddenly it dawned on me there was just there was no mature trees. When you suddenly understood that, you realise how much deforestation there was. They really rely on wood out there, building with it, they're cooking on it, they just rely on it. So, the country has a real problem, and it's just so nice to know the project is resolving that problem by showing the farmers how they can plant trees and manage their groves to provide wood for their families.
The wonderful thing of visiting the project is just every interaction, every farmer you meet has an interesting story, an element that you just can't capture it all. We could list farmer after farmer, coordinator, quantifier, and all of them have such an engaging story that you just feel quite privileged to have met them and to have shared in that experience and to have been welcomed by them, which is so special for Uganda. It's such an open, hospitable country.
Always be ready, steady, visitors. We shall conquer again and again.
First visit was to Yasin's, Birali's grove. So he'd allowed an area of trees to just, well, I think there was mature trees there, but basically sort of recolonise. And we were there and he was talking about different birds and plants that they hadn't seen for decades and that had all come back to that area. So the fact that he was planting, he had quite a few plantations as well as conservation farming, as well as the wildlife area, it just amazed you. And there was just bird noise, wasn't there? And other areas you just didn't get it. For the whole trip, we were with the Bushenyi quantifiers, weren't we? Yeah. And they were just such an amazing group of people who are so committed to the project, and they make the project. So we really did get a good idea of what they do on a daily basis and also the terrains they work in.
Yes, we were climbing those groves like a quantifier climbs, and some of those hills are so steep, and I don't know how they actually managed to not only climb those hills but actually count the trees, measure the circumference of the trees themselves, and then not lose count because it's rows and rows of trees. It's just an incredible work that they do, and it's such an important and integral part to the project itself. Amelia, how many trees are in this grove again? And 6, okay.
When we went to visit Geraldine's house and her gardens and her grounds, yeah, she was extremely proud grandmother. And I can't remember how many children she had, but she had quite a number of children and grandchildren. And everything she was doing, so she'd planted a lot of fruit trees, as well as there was oranges, there was lemons, aubergines, cabbages, and she really was so proud of what she was achieving through the conservation farming and how it was making a difference to her grandchildren and her family.
I think one of my favourite moments of the trip, beyond the farmers and the people of Uganda, was actually Toni's interaction with the local children. Nearly every step we took would be Toni showing her camera or taking photos or holding hands or chatting to children. They were inquisitive and they were asking questions, and they'd never encountered a camera before, and it was just such a unique situation to see.
One of my memories is we parked the minibus and we'd got out and we started walking up this hill. And then there was some ladies working, and this old lady started dancing and singing to us. Ara started talking to her, and she was in her 80s, wasn't she? And she remembered the area when it had been covered in trees, and was so upset in how the deforestation had changed everything, but was so positive about the work the TIST was doing in putting the trees back and returning, you know, the area to what she remembered it as a child, and, you know, bringing back the wildlife and the plants that she remembered. So when you know, heard those stories, and the fact that we were all part of turning Uganda back to what it was, it's just brilliant.
What's your name?
Before I went, I'd looked at the website and knowing there was 4.6 million trees planted and, you know, a certain number of, how many community groups?
560 groups and over 5,000 farmers involved in the project.
So you had these statistics, so you knew lots of people were involved, lots of trees had been planted, and that's kind of what I expected to go and see, people and trees. But you just didn't get any until you went to the project. You just had no understanding of how important it was to the community groups. And the trees are really the afterthought now. They were there, but it was, you know, the people that really have stuck with me and their stories.